It's happening. We are well into Leo season now. And you know what that means? Well, it actually means a couple of things. First up, Leo season means we are trying to get our glow on, but it also means Venus retrograde has begun. And this podcast has officially been going for one whole year. Can you believe it? I think it's kind of interesting, but of course, totally apt that I launched this podcast in Leo season last year because Leo season energy or Leo energy in general is all about self-expression and being seen and heard. So before we kick off this exploration of Venus through Leo, and what that will mean for you by rising sign, I want to say a huge thank you for listening to me over the past year. If this is your first time listening to me, thank you for being here. But it has been such a joy for me to create this because it really lights up so much of what I love about my work, exploring all the things that make us tick as entrepreneurs and people at a deeper level. Having these amazing and engaging and thought-provoking conversations with my guests and just being creative in general. I think that podcasting for business is such a powerful thing to do, and it's something that I wanted to do for a very long time, and it's something that I encourage a lot of my clients to do if it suits them and their energy. But it's definitely not something that I could do on my own. And I think that's actually a big part of why I love it so much, because it's activating my Libra Mars and my Moon, which love collaboration and working together with people. And I get really juiced up by this whole collaboration and the collaborative energy that's involved in a podcast. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, and a huge thank you to my team, to the people that I collaborate with to make this happen, to the guests that I have as well. Huge shout out to Melina, my amazing wing woman, who helps me get the episodes out there so that people will find them. To the crew at Bambi Media, thank you so much as well for producing everything beautifully and just generally keeping me on track and making sure that I give me accountable to keep the episodes rolling. The other thing I wanted to mention is you may have seen my post about this, but the Cosmic Business Breakthrough has been nominated and is a finalist in the Podcast of the Year category at the National Oz Mumpreneur Awards, which is super exciting. So whether we win or not, I am so proud of what we've created here, even though, or especially because it has been scary. It has been a little scary, and it regularly puts me out of my comfort zone. So I think that's what makes us so proud of the things that we do, is when they feel a little bit stretchy for us, and this podcast certainly has done that for me. So whether I'm a winner or not, I'm super proud of this. I'm super proud of making it to the milestone of 1 year in podcasting, because I know that is a difficult thing to do, and not everyone can keep it up, because it is a lot of work. So I'm proud of me and the team for getting it this far. And I've also really loved getting your feedback on the episodes. So please keep it coming. Share this podcast with your business besties, because I truly believe that working with astrology can have such powerful impacts for us in business. And I really want to spread the word far and wide so we can all get more self-awareness and flow in our entrepreneurial lives. Okay. Let's dive into what you really want to hear and really want to know, which is, how is Venus in Leo and its retrograde going to affect you over the next couple of months. And I am going to break this down by your rising sign or your sun sign or both, depending on how you want to listen to this. So Venus moved into Leo a little while ago now, since the beginning of June actually. But what happened at the end of July was it started to track backwards in the sky, at least from our perspective on Earth. So this is a retrograde. So we are in the thick, as this episode comes out, we are in the thick of the Venus retrograde. And because of this retrograde, Venus is going to stay in Leo until October 8th, which is a very long time for Venus to be in one sign. So from June 5th until October 8th, that's quite a significant stay. So to just clarify the dates, in case you're taking notes, I will also put these in the show notes. Venus started its transit through Leo on the 5th of June. On the 22nd of July, Venus went retrograde, and it was in the final couple of degrees of Leo. So it managed to make it all the way, pretty much all the way through the sign of Leo until it stopped, and now it's coming backwards. And it's going to continue its retrograde motion in Leo until the 3rd of September, when it's going to stop, end the retrograde, and start moving forward again. And it will move forward in Leo until October 8th, when it will move into Virgo. So here's what you need to know. First of all, Venus is our planet of love, our planet of beauty, relationships, and money. She's the planet we look to for our values in life and business, as well as where we find pleasure and joy. And Venus in Leo is normally really quite exciting, because Venus in Leo is grand, it's warm, it's bold. This is generally a heart-centered, expressive, romantic, proud, and extravagant placement for Venus. And when Venus is here, we might feel the need for more attention, more acknowledgement, more validation and adoration. Those are kind of the Venus in Leo themes. But the retrograde is going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works there, which I'm going to explain shortly. Venus in Leo is also often related to buying things, because Venus is related to our spending, our money, our spending and earning habits. But when it's in Leo, it's related to buying things that feel luxurious or extravagant in some way. So keep that in mind while this transit is underway as well. And that's because the sign of Leo is ruled by the sun. So it's like things need to be on show. You know, things need to be showy. That's the Venus in Leo thing. And so as a side note, if you're a person with Venus in Leo, it's possible, or it's likely, that you really enjoy spending your disposable income on luxury items and things that show their value, like designer handbags, clothes, jewelry, or homewares, or on extravagant experiences that you can put on the gram, kind of thing. That's one of the ways you find joy or pleasure, is in these kind of more extravagant purchases or experiences. Now, if you've listened to a few of my other episodes, or you've attended one of my workshops, you'll know that retrograde times often come with the theme of a redo, a recalibration, a revisioning, right? But with this retrograde, I also think there's a bit of a theme of revival, because it's happening in such a vital sign, the sign of the sun itself. So there are some general do's and don'ts with Venus retrograde energy, like don't get a crazy new haircut because you're feeling the vibe. It's likely you're going to regret it later. Don't do a major branding overhaul of your website or social media presence. Again, it might not be something you want to stick to once Venus goes direct. And don't get into a new business partnership unless it's someone you have known a long time. Like, don't go Don't go jumping into a new partnership with someone you've just met. The same would be said about relationships in general, because when Venus is retrograde, we tend not to see things quite as clearly. We tend not to see people or relationships quite as clearly as we do when Venus is moving forwards, right? So it may be different if you have known the person that you're entering into this partnership with a long time, and it just happens to be the timing to start something with that person. That may work, but you just need to be a little extra cautious, just like with a Mercury retrograde, where we're extra cautious about signing contracts and checking our technology and all of those sort of mercurial things. With a Venus retrograde, we want to be extra careful about who we're in relationship with, what our aesthetics are, what we're seeing as beautiful, and what we're seeing as valuable, right? It's also not a great time to go and spend big on things, even though that Leo energy may want you to be extravagant with your spending. Try to check in with yourself and make sure that expenditure is for the right reasons, right? Okay, and this is because Venus, as I've said, Venus is not operating in her usual beautifying, connecting, and outwardly expressive way at this time. She's asking us to really look inward at our core values and what we feel is beautiful and wonderful about ourselves first, without that external validation, and without it being without it coming from someone else. Absolutely fundamentally understanding and knowing what our value is. So that means this is a great time for reconsidering your business values and your branding. And it's a great time to reconsider those business partnerships and collaborations to see if they're really feeling good and nourishing for you, or if you're in them for the wrong reasons, like you're trying to make the other person happy or keep the peace and avoid conflict. Because Venus doesn't love conflict or disharmony. So you may have been doing things to keep that part of your Venus happy. But during a retrograde, she's going to show you where you feel that, so you can recalibrate yourself and make sure you're in things and doing things for the right reasons. And because Venus is in the sign of Leo, the sign of self-expression, it's really a time to consider and reflect on how you are expressing yourself. Are you allowing yourself to shine? And how do you get centered in your own self-worth? How do you show your authenticity? So this is really a time to tune into your heart energy or your heart chakra and find out what makes you feel good about yourself. Now, I'm going to break this down by rising sign, but you can also listen based on your sun sign. And I would recommend, because we're talking about Leo energy here, and Leo is ruled by the sun, there may be some very potent lessons that are coming through your sun sign. I would normally say listen to your rising sign, but because this is happening in Leo, listen to both your rising and your sun sign. If you don't know your rising sign and you want a bit of guidance and how to set up a free astrology chart and find out where all your planet or key planet and points are, I have a YouTube video for you to watch, which I will link to in the show notes. It's a step-by-step on how to set up a free astrology chart. You'll probably also want to know a little more about the houses of your astrology chart too, because I do talk about which house this is going to be activating for you. So check out episode 10 of the podcast, which is all about the 12 houses of the astrology chart, for more insight into this as well. Okay, I'm going to do this in the proper zodiacal order, which means we will start with you, Aries. Okay, for you, Aries, this extended stay of Venus and its retrograde is happening in your 5th house of creative projects, play and pleasure. So really consider or reconsider what turns you on. What creative projects and partnerships really bring you joy and feel like play? This retrograde is an amazing time to check in, find out if you're incorporating enough creativity and play into your business life, if you're valuing your self-expression enough, and all of that fun stuff. How can you have more fun in your work? Where have you been involved in activities that are draining to your vitality and your enjoyment of life and business? This is an amazing time. This retrograde is an amazing time to put changes in place to stop this from continuing and to really put things in place to make sure that you're making the most of your creative energy and your playfulness. Okay. For Taurus, this transit of Venus is happening in your 4th house of home, foundations, and even business foundations. So how are you bringing the sunshine of Leo into your home or the center of your being and your business, the center of your business? Are you honoring your true self-worth, your true self-expression, your authentic self? What feels out of alignment here? Venus is also your ruling planet. So when she's retrograde, you might feel a bit of a dip in your vitality or your pleasure, right? And just know that this is going to pass, and lean into the lessons and the opportunities this process will bring. For Gemini, we are looking at your 3rd house of communication, reading, learning, and short distance travel. So what communication projects have you been working on, and what needs a bit more love and light in this part of your business and life? For example, have you been communicating your needs authentically with the people close to you? Are you pouring some love into some old forgotten communication projects or reading books you've had on your nightstand for months? How can you really enjoy and take pleasure in this area of your life some more? For Cancer, we're talking about your 2nd house of money, resources, and self-worth. So this is a very interesting and powerful place to have Venus, and especially for such a long time. So what aspects of your financial life need a renewal or a revitalization? What lessons are here about your self-worth and how you acknowledge your potential to generate wealth and abundant personal resources? Do you need to reconsider how you make or spend money? This is a big time for you to really be thinking about, how you are creating revenue or income, and how you're spending that as well. Like what is it that you're valuing in this part of your business and life? For Leos, this is activating your 1st house of identity. So it is all about you, baby. It is all about you. With Venus in your house of personal brand and persona, you might be thinking a lot about the image that you present to the world and whether it feels aligned and authentic to you. So how can you add more sweetness and pleasure into your self-care here? Like, because we're talking about you bringing some of that sunshine and warmth to yourself, to your physical body, to your brand, to your persona, right? How can you acknowledge your own sunshine as well and your unique gifts even more? Now, as I said earlier, this is not the best time to completely rebrand, but for you, this is a great time to reconsider your branding and think about how you can bring more of yourself to the table, how you can let yourself shine even more, and what you need in order to feel more authentic and more self-expressed. Okay. For Virgo, this is happening in your 12th house of hidden things, or also known as the house of surrender and spirituality. So for you, this transit is very much about coming home to yourself and finding those unconscious patterns of self-sabotage when it comes to your self-expression and vitality. This is an exploration time for you. It's a bit of a retreat time as well. You may need a bit more rest and reflection than the other signs while Venus is here. But the good news is that in October, she's moving into your sign. So you rest and reflect now and get ready to enjoy the gifts of Venus later. But basically what you are trying to do during this retrograde period is really tap into where you might not have been allowing yourself to have pleasure and enjoyment, and what you need to do going forward, right? To allow those things back in. Where have you been sabotaging yourself or keeping that part of yourself locked away? For Libra, Venus will be hanging out in your 11th house of networks, community, and friendships. So, and also your big hopes and dreams. So things there, while Venus is there, could feel a little sweeter. But Venus is also your ruling sign. So when, as I said for Taurus, when she's retrograde, you might find you have a little less vitality and things feel a little less shiny than usual, particularly in that part of your life when the retrograde is happening. So use this time to really consider or reconsider which networks and communities you value and want to be part of. You may also be reconsidering your big goals, your big dreams for your business. Think about what people are bringing you joy and what spaces are filling your cup. Now is the time to let go of anything that doesn't bring you joy, that doesn't fill your cup, any of those networks and communities and friendship groups. Right. For Scorpio, this is impacting your 10th house of career and public reputation. So it's time to rethink your business plans and goals. Are your plans truly aligned with your values? Are your goals filling you with pleasure and anticipation, or are they actually feeling heavy and misguided? Or misaligned, not necessarily misguided, but misaligned with what feels good. You also want to consider if you're being authentic in your public life. Are you showing up as the fully expressed, turned on version of yourself? Or are you watering you down so that you won't offend anyone? Remember that your clients and followers want you to shine your light. Okay, that's why Leo is your 10th house of public reputation. They want you, they come to you because they want to be basking in that light. For Sagittarius, this is all about your 9th house of travel, wisdom, and higher learning or teaching. So what have you learned about yourself and the way you bring your special blend of knowledge and wisdom to the world? How authentic are you being in your teaching or higher learning? And how much pleasure and joy are you allowing yourself in this part of your life and business? This could be a time to rethink some travel plans, or you might want to think about organizing a retreat somewhere. You might want to, put some plans in motion for a retreat somewhere where you can also share your knowledge and wisdom. Like this is a combination of that, the travel with the wisdom and higher learning. Like where are you expanding yourself? Think about those places that you expand yourself, right? And how are you allowing the pleasure and joy in that part of your life and business? Reconsider and revitalize this part of your business to reap the rewards of the retrograde later. Okay? For Capricorn, we are talking about your 8th house of other people's resources and psychological explorations. So this retrograde has the potential to take you on quite a journey into what you really want and need from others and what you're investing your time and money into. So this is a time to reconsider your values when it comes to your finances as well as your support systems. Do you have the right support structures to help you flourish financially and psychologically? Right. For Aquarius, Venus will be in your 7th house of partnerships. So this is a very interesting time, a time for you to reconsider and reevaluate your business and personal one-on-one relationships. Maybe there are a few important conversations to be had here. Maybe you're ready to show up more authentically in your relationships and really allow the light to shine on you rather than on your partner or partners. Which collaborations or client relationships are feeling really good and aligned with your values, and which ones actually need to go so you can express yourself proudly and with vitality. Think about those things. And finally, for Pisces, Venus will be in your 6th house of day-to-day work, habits, and health. So this is a time to really revitalize your daily patterns, to bring more joy and pleasure into your life and business, to allow in that extra support if you need it. How can you have more fun or enjoyment doing the things that you have to do? Maybe you want to reconsider some daily rituals, figure out what's working to make you feel vital and refreshed. Maybe you need to add a little pocket or pockets of pleasure and fun throughout your day. Little rituals or routines. This can also be a time to review your health in general, and in particular, your relaxation and beauty routines, because we're talking about Venus here. Can you, for instance, schedule in a regular facial or a massage to get yourself really feeling good, really feeling beautiful as well? Okay, that is a wrap on Venus in Leo. Obviously, there's a lot more I could say in a personal session with you. So if you'd like to book in, the link will be in the show notes. So check that out. In the meantime, I want to thank you again for supporting this podcast. If you love it, it would be incredible if you could leave me a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice, or just share this podcast with your friends on Instagram or Facebook. Share your favorite episode. And I actually have a competition going at the moment to celebrate this 1-year milestone. And you can check that out over on Instagram. All you need to do is leave me a review or share a story about the podcast on Instagram and tag me, of course. And you'll be in with a chance to win a 45-minute one-on-one session with me. So go and check that out. I'm sending you all the love from my heart to yours this Leo season and for Venus in Leo.